KYETalks. I am your host, Tripta Colwood Nadkarni. On this digital platform, we speak with various entrepreneurs who tell us why they didn't want to be stuck in the typical 9 to 5, but they chose to do something different. They chose to follow their heart. So one such very successful entrepreneur we will be speaking with today is Mr. Sajan Zacharias, who is an ex-Indian Air Force officer and who holds an MBA in tech management. He is also a certified aeronautical engineer. Mr. Sajan is an executive coach whose goal is to help successful people have a positive change in behavior that is sustainable, recognized, and acknowledged by everyone. He has an impressive half a dozen certifications in the coaching field. So we're going to talk to him more about that. Hello, Mr. Sajan, and welcome to the KYE digital platform. Thank you so much for agreeing to come here and speak with us. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
Okay, great.
I feel great, and I see no option except to feel great every day.
Okay, awesome. So could you please tell us a little bit more about your coaching venture?
Yeah, so as you introduced, I started my career with Indian Air Force. I did my mechanical engineering, wearing uniform.
Amazing.
For the country it has been always a passion to serve the nation.
That's so wonderful.
Yeah, so that dream has been always there. Fortunately, I got picked up and I could serve the nation for about 6 years.
Wow.
In a short commission, and I retired as a flight lieutenant. So I was, very much interested from those days, looking at people, how they rise in their career.
Right.
How do people reach higher positions, and what are some qualities people have? Okay. I remember those days to watch people, how they walk, how they talk. Look at the senior officers. What really sticks with these people, what's different. So I've been always interested in learning how someone becomes successful.
Right.
So then, after my short service commission, which was 6 years, I left, and then I went to Middle East. I worked with some various international automotive brands like Chrysler, Mitsubishi, Volvo, and Peugeot, Nissan, Ford, like that. In 2007, I left my job and went into training and coaching full-time.
Okay.
So I've done events in more than 20 plus countries worldwide, or maybe 25 countries worldwide.
Okay.
So I've been doing this for the last 13 years.
Okay.
In various forms, and working with individuals, right, teams, and different cultures, different language, that kind of stuff.
Right.
So what I focus now mostly is that I work with CEOs, business leaders, help them to identify the blind spots and issues,
right,
or bottlenecks in the organization,
right,
and then individuals and teams, which will thrive through performance in good times and bad times.
Right.
So one is that I help CEOs, business leaders. Sometimes they have very large teams. It becomes difficult to pinpoint where are the issues and bottlenecks in the organization. That's one.
Right.
Second is that every leader is looking at how I can build my next level of leaders,
right,
for succession planning, to scale up the business. And when they think of that, often they face one issue like, who are my next level of leaders? Who are my hypo leaders, high potential leaders? Sometimes that also becomes a challenge. So I work with people to develop what we call the next level of leaders, so that they can have enough bench strength in growing the organization to the next level. That is one. The other issue is that employees or leaders in the organization, they are looking for growth in their career.
Yes.
And often that becomes also a challenge.
Yeah.
Because one of the most fundamental things for your growth in the organization is based on what we call your reputation in the company.
Absolutely. Very true.
You can call it reputation, or you could call it perception, or you could call it branding, or how impactful are you in the organization?
Right.
And that becomes one of the biggest challenge, creating the right perception among the people who are responsible for your growth in the organization.
Right.
And that's something very difficult to manage, because most of, when we talk about Indians, most people say that I work hard and my work should get noticed by people who are responsible for my growth, and that most times it doesn't work. So one issue where I help people is to understand what are the expectations from stakeholders, and then work for a long time and help to create the right perceptions which enhance their brand value, which also make them more promotable, and therefore they become successful. So that is what I do, and what I use is a 7-step proven methodology from world's #1 executive coach, Marshall Goldsmith.
Okay.
And that's world's #1 executive coaching program, and that gives a measurable and guaranteed kind of outcomes and results for the people who are investing their money, so they get their highest return on investment.
Right.
Yeah, in a short, I think that's what I.
Right, that's wonderful, and it's such a matter of pride, from serving to the nation as a flight lieutenant, Mr. Sajan, to now helping people. So I think that is really amazing, and it feels really good to address you as Flight Lieutenant Sajan Zacharias. So thank you so much for telling us about your business. I'm going to move to my first question, which kind of has already tied in, because you told me what was the motivation behind beginning this. So would you like to add any more, because you've already told me a lot about this. So what would you like to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question to think about.
Yeah.
What's my motivation? That reminds me of one other question. What matters in life?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
What's really important in life? So based on a research done, there are 4 or 5 factors highly important in life, and those are like health, wealth, family, happiness, and meaning.
Right, very true.
And obviously now, this time, as we go through this pandemic, I'm sure everyone talks about health at this point of time.
True.
People have realized that money cannot, buy everything in life. So health and wealth is more important. And so happiness and meaning is another topic. We can get involved in a lot of things which can give us what we call this short-term gratification. It may not give us meaning.
Right.
So what gives us meaning is probably leading a value-filled life.
Okay.
So one of my top values is basically freedom. So motivation to be an entrepreneur is that I value freedom very much.
Yeah.
When I say value freedom, freedom could be the kind of flexibility I need for me to do my work, the kind of flexibility I need to work on my, various aspects in life, and then financial freedom and, freedom for growth. Everything is important. So these are my motivations,
Right.
working on my own and continuing this entrepreneurial journey.
Freedom, yeah, that's really well said. Which brings me to my next question. What is it about this field that gives you a real good sense of accomplishment, or the kick milta hai, that you've chosen the right thing to help people?
Right. Yeah. So that's a great question. What gives me a sense of accomplishment? I've been always passionate, so one thing I told you, very, very early in my career, I've been watching people, how they how they, move through the career ladder and how people become successful. And then, I really want to help people, to be that person who they really want to be in their life, to help people to succeed.
Right.
So knowing that, I'm contributing, I'm part of their journey in helping them to become the person they really want to be in life, and seeing that they're getting closer to their goals and, their destination or dream, or whatever we call it, that gives me a lot of sense of accomplishment.
Helping people find themselves. I think that's really wonderful. So, because if people get lost, so helping people find their way and, you know, finding themselves, I think that's a really nice thing that you're doing, which, you know, would bring me, sorry, would you like to add anything to that?
When you said getting lost, I was just thinking, the people, everyone has aspirations. People have aspirations, and sometimes we really don't hit our full potential.
Yeah, very true.
And what happens is that happens because of a lot of what we call limiting beliefs, what we pick up over a long period of time. And sometimes we need to break those kind of limiting beliefs,
right.
You know, to meet our goals. So
right. True. Great. So, you know, like any new venture, when you start, there are bound to be challenges, obstacles, barriers. So, you know, what was it like, the challenges? What were some of the challenges you had to face initially, or some of the barriers you broke on this journey?
Yeah, that's a good question to think about. The interesting thing about barriers and challenges, every time when we come across a barrier or challenge, you think this is the highest one, or this is the most difficult one you have ever faced in life. And after some time, when we look back, that was no longer a challenge.
Right.
So likewise, I also had my own share of barriers, obstacles, or challenges, you know, when I really wanted to transform. Because my first job was in the defense. You know, I joined in the 90s, and that was one of the best jobs those days. So the initial thought was definitely security was important. Having some kind of steady income was very important. And then leaving the force, and that was like jumping into something unknown. I had no idea like how I would find or chart out my career.
Right.
But I think some part of that risk taking in my life, you know, helped me to move forward.
Right.
And so like one of the barriers was, the initial day was like to hold on to the security, or so many years later I realized that there is actually nothing called security or no guarantees in life. So everything is probably maybe highly imaginative, and it's how we take it and then move forward.
Yeah. Like you said, you know, things you thought were barriers, when you look back, they were not actually barriers, but they were you. So that's very true. You know, so so you know, what do you think at this point is needed for you to reach your business goals or business aspirations? What is needed from you?
Yeah, so again, you know, I believe life is like a journey, and obviously everyone can have a destination, but then we set goals, and when we reach, you know, one station, we move to the next, and that's how, you know, we can progress in life. Right now, one of my goals or dream at this point of time is probably to touch at least 1,000 leaders, you know, helping them to transform their lives in the next 5 years.
Wonderful.
How could I be part? So that's one of the milestones out there. And I'm sure I'll figure out, you know, as things go by, you know, probably set something bigger.
Right. So this is amazing. Like, you know, you have a goal already, reaching so many people by 5 years. So I think that's wonderful. One step at a time.
This itself is quite a big number for me, I think.
Sure, you'll achieve it. All our wishes are with you.
The other advantage is that when I touch probably like even when I touch even one person to help them to become even more successful, they're indirectly touching probably, you know, 70, 80 other people.
Wow. Okay.
So this has a rippling effect.
Right. Absolutely. Very true.
So,
very true.
Yeah.
You know, my next question I wanted to ask you is, how did this venture change you? Like, what were some of the changes it brought about in you?
So I think these changes and learning is happening every day.
Correct.
I would say that I'm very fortunate to be dealing with a lot of successful people across the world. Some of them are hugely successful. And when I talk to these people, many of these people are actually very humble and grounded.
Right. Right.
And that teaches me something. And, most of the successful, humble, grounded, emotionally very stable. And the other thing I noticed that people who are hugely successful, they have a purpose beyond themselves.
Right.
Most of the time, the purpose is to make others' life better, creating platforms, which would enable a lot of people to become successful.
Right.
I see that. So it's always learning, constant learning, from people who I interact. So I pick up a lot of stuff, from those people and pick up the good practice and try and practice and learn.
Right. That's awesome, because these are the values which will take you a long way, no matter how successful you are. So I think that's really, really awesome. And, which finally brings me to my last question is, what are some of the words of wisdom or advice that you would like to give to the budding or upcoming entrepreneurs out there? They usually, some of them may want to be taking that step, but are a little hesitant. So what are your words of advice?
Words of wisdom or advice, I think both are very heavy words for me. But what I would like to share probably is like for entrepreneurs or anybody out there is that one thing is probably discover your purpose.
Right.
And make sure that something which can touch a lot of people and make a positive difference to the world and to the people around.
Right.
And when you focus on, purpose, something which is beyond you, everything else is actually complementary.
Right. Very true.
So life can just happen.
Right.
If we can help a lot of people to succeed.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think very well said, and very relevant, especially in this time right now when everything pandemic and everything going on, moving beyond ourselves and helping other people. I think that was very well said, and we really want to thank you so much, Flight Lieutenant Sajan, for coming on the KYE digital platform and speaking with us. It was really a pleasure speaking with you, and we want to wish you all the best for your venture.
Thank you so much. You and the KYE team doing an amazing work.
Thank you so much.
Helping a lot of people to become successful. That's what you're doing.
Thank you so much. Thank you for speaking with us. Okay.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.